Greetings and salutations! How you doing, boys and girls? Yes, it's been a little while. The last time I posted a video, we were upgrading to Jammy Jellyfish. And this time around, we're looking at an upgrade again. And this time, we're going from Linux Mint 20.3 to Linux Mint 21. The brand new one called Vanessa, which is based on Ubuntu 22.04 Jammy Jellyfish. And before we get into anything about it, I have to say, the Linux Mint team knocked this out of the park this time. The upgrade from 20.3 to 21 was flawless. Absolutely amazing. I did it in place. I did not nuke and pave, as they say, where you back up all your data and then reformat and start over. Many years ago, you will remember, if you've been around Linux for a long time, that was how you moved from one version of Linux Mint to the next. You had to do that. And then they came along and said, well, we're going to do interim releases that go along with Ubuntu's LTS. And so that's why we have the different dot at the end of the numbers now. Like the most recent one was 20.3 UMA. Okay, great. And then they came along, probably with 17.3, you were able to move to Linux Mint 18. I might be wrong on that, but I seem to recall that's when you could first do it, that they had come up with an in-place upgrade, and it was very nerdy, and you had to do it from a terminal, and it was a problem, right? And with lots of potential pitfalls, and you could mess up your system, and then you'd have to figure out how to fix it and everything. This time around, no, it was just bam, bam, done, thank you. And it did come across some packages that I had installed that weren't in the repos. It handled it very gracefully. It was just super easy to understand. Amazing. So, yeah. Now, years ago, I used to tell people, well, when you're going to upgrade, you're going to do a major upgrade, it's probably good to nuke and pave. In the last few years, I don't do that anymore. The last few years, I upgrade in place. I actually have a computer on my network here at home that I have upgraded from Ubuntu 16.04 to 18.04 to 20.04 to 22.04. Yeah, it's an old machine, and it still runs beautifully. I upgraded Ubuntu. I installed actually Ubuntu 22.04 on this machine, which is a Dell Workstation T5400. It's kind of a pedestal server, half desktop computer, half server. It's got server grade Xeon processors in it, and this was a really hot machine in 2014, so it's 8 years old. And the old Xeons are a little strange. And yes, there are two separate Xeons. When you're looking at HTOP up here, you're seeing processor 1 and processor 2. There's no hyper-threading, and it doesn't really like virtualization. So that's one of the reasons that I have stopped posting a lot of videos where I talk about things in virtual machines. I just simply can't run them very well these days. And I wanted to get away from doing those kind of videos anyway. But the main issue that I have with this machine moving from 20 to 21 in Linux Mint, or 20.04 to 22.04 in Ubuntu, or any other updated operating system at this point, is the fact that NVIDIA dropped support for their older video cards. And this one has an NVIDIA card going way back. I think that it used 340. I think that's what it needed to install. Not really sure, but that sounds familiar. And they don't support those drivers anymore. Just that simple. And so you have to use the open source drivers. Now the upside is that NVIDIA, along with dropping support, has also open sourced their code. So the open source drivers aren't going to do anything but get better and better. And if you're looking at HTOP right here, right now, this is how hard the computer is working, and I am capturing HD video 30 frames per second. It doesn't care. I played back some 60 frame per second stuff, and it still doesn't really stress the CPU. But this is something to keep in mind if you have an old machine and you're running Steam, for instance, and you're playing games. This might give you a little bit of heartburn. This machine doesn't play games. It's mainly audio and a lot of just standard web work and maintaining the websites and all this other stuff that I do and work for the radio station. So really not too much big stress on the machine here. So we're going to give this a try. When I upgraded to, or rather installed Ubuntu 22.04, I ran it for about a week on this machine and used it as my daily. And it worked pretty good, but it kept freezing, and I think that might have been because it was running Wayland on an old NVIDIA card with the Nouveau driver. And then on top of that, I ran into a problem where I had a major audio issue where I couldn't log into a meeting at work one day. And it was bad, yo. I had to like pick up a phone and call in and squawk to people and sit there and hold that phone for like an hour and a half. And I was like, this is not cool. So I just rolled back to 20.3 where everything worked and everything was happy, and it was really cool. So that's what I have been running since my last video. Another thing happened which was absolutely amazing, and I'm going to show you this. Well, let's just do it this way. We can do it in a terminal, or we can do it with the Mint update tool. I don't currently have that running. I don't have that set to start at startup. I don't really use it that much, so I need the update tool. Where if you type in update, you'll get it. Oh, okay. Thank you. There you go. Update manager. Thanks. This is the new update manager, and you'll see. Can you see this? I wish I could zoom, but I can't do that on this screen. Do you see the package that it wants to actually upgrade right here, right now? It's MP3 Gain. I have kept a compiled deb package of MP3 Gain for years, from way back when Martin Wimpress was maintaining a PPA for this. And then it became available in the Ubuntu Snap Store. And so I stopped. On the Ubuntu machines, I would install the Snap. Okay, no big deal. And now it's back in the repositories. You see, Debian took it out because it didn't get an update for a while. And that's kind of stupid, because all this does, this is a little program that I can't live without, because I do a lot of work with audio and I have a lot of MP3 files. And what this does is it sets a consistent gain across a whole bunch of MP3 files. It'll do it over thousands. And so when you play one next to the other, it sounds the same level. And this is just setting the playback volume in the MP3 itself. It's not done in your player. It's done in the file. So it'll work on any hardware or software that you play the MP3 back in. And it's a piece of software that I absolutely need. Okay, so what I wanted to show you is that when I did the upgrade, and this is a beautiful thing that Linux Mint did, it looked for what they call foreign packages. Now, a foreign package means that you've installed something that isn't in the repositories. You have downloaded a deb, or you have compiled your own. So it came up, and there were two that it saw, and that was this one here. And some of you can't see this on low resolution devices. I know that, so I'll tell you what you're looking at, okay? One of them is called MP3 Gain, which I just talked about. Another one's called Tag Tool, which is a tag editor for MP3 files. Tag Tool is no longer in the repositories for the same reason. It didn't get an update. Debian didn't like it. They dumped it. Ubuntu dumped it because they follow Debian. Linux Mint had to do the same thing. So I had these installed. The machine said, well, what you have here is some packages that are not in the repositories. What do you want to do with them? Well, really the only thing you can do is you can select them and tell them that you want to keep it, which is great, thank you. Or you can have it remove it either way and reinstall. So I wasn't really sure what I was doing there. It kept MP3 Gain because I selected it, and it didn't keep Tag Tool. So I went back and installed Tag Tool, and I went back to install MP3 Gain again, and it comes up and it says, there's an updated version in the repositories. Do you want to install this? And I'm like, really? So I installed the old one so that I could do this in the video, because I knew this was coming. Because I'm going to upgrade MP3 Gain while you guys are watching. Now, before we do that, let me show you this. This is another cool thing that they did. So with Linux Mint, you guys know that you choose your software sources, so you can choose your local mirrors. It might not like me having these two things open at once. It may complain. Oh, it's working enough to be able to tell. Okay, so my mirror is set to James Madison University in Harrisonburg, Virginia. That's the closest Linux Mint mirror around the world that I have. I never changed this, boys and girls. Didn't do a thing. When I updated it, it checked to make sure those mirrors had the updated packages, and that was it. So that's lovely, because if you reinstall, then you have to go back and you have to redo that again. In other words, you're starting from scratch, and you'll have to go reset your mirrors and do your updates and all that stuff. And it's like, no, this is awesome. That's wonderful. So nothing here changed. It also remembered that I use Google Chrome. So what did it do? It actually remembered that repository was there, hung on to it, didn't touch my Google Chrome install. Ubuntu historically has screwed that up one way or the other. They've either moved the repository and not removed the package, or removed all of it, and then you come back and you have no Chrome, and you got to go back and get it, and you have to reinstall it, and blah, 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 blah. Didn't have to do any of that. So that's wonderful. Can you guys hear that lawnmower out there? Of course, when I would start this video, that's when my neighbor would decide to cut the grass. So sorry about that if you can hear it. There's not a thing I can do about it. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what this microphone can and can't pick up. Sometimes I say, can you hear that? And people never hear it. But you may be hearing a lawnmower out there. It's just a real video, dude. It's very live. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and install this update. And I guess that I don't need to keep that package anymore. But I'm probably going to go ahead and keep it. I'm afraid of losing this program altogether, so I probably will keep the old package for a while at least. Hopefully it stays back in the Ubuntu repositories and it doesn't get dumped again. It's just, that's one, everybody has one program they can't live without, and that's mine. Alright, so let's take a look at Linux kernels here and talk about what we got going. Yes, I understand this is dangerous. Let's see what we got in here. So the active kernel is 5.15.0/-43. That's the same one that's running on my other Ubuntu computer, so that's what we got. And it seems to have removed all of the other kernels, so I do not have the 5.4 series that is running in Ubuntu 20.04. So that's not in the system anymore. So very cool indeed. I hadn't looked at that yet. This also seems to have kept all of my tweaks, all of my settings, all of my scripts, everything that I did in the etc directory, etc directory, whatever you want to call it. It's all still there. So I imagine that my little tweaks are still there. I have a few things that I do at install, usually, to make sure that like the audio card works properly with the later kernels. This is an older audio card, and you have to do a little tweak to it. The old Intel audio cards, you have to do a little tweak, or it's going to pop and click on you, because basically the new kernel tries to turn off the card if you're not using it after a certain period of time, and you need to tell it to not do that on a machine like this, or every time that you go to play audio, it'll pop, and every time that you do anything else, it'll do that. So yes, this is very awesome. All of my software is here. Everything seems to work. I'm just amazed. Now, as far as what's new in Linux Mint 21, I really don't know. I didn't read the release notes. I didn't do nothing. I just saw that tool was available and got kind of jelly and went, I want that. I got a little nerd thing happened, and I went, well, I know that I'm going to lose the proprietary drivers, but the new NVIDIA drivers, let's give them a try with X and see what happens. I do know for a fact, let's jump over here real quick, gang, and we'll talk about this for a minute. Let's go ahead and talk about how you can do an in-place upgrade. Now, I'm going to warn you right now that doing an in-place upgrade, this is yesterday. This is from an article from a site called 9 to 5 Linux, and I just did a Google search, and this is the first thing that popped up. And as of August the 5th, which was Friday, it's Sunday now when I'm recording this, you can do this direct upgrade, and they go through and tell you how to do it. And it's really simple. It's 2 commands. Sudo apt install mint upgrade. 1, done. install the package. 2, you can run it from a terminal, and I suggest that you do that because then you see exactly what's going on in the background. It's very groovy indeed. So then you would just run the command sudo mint upgrade. That's it. And then a box will come up. You'll have a little, they don't show it here, but there's actually a little graphic box that comes up as well with the buttons that control it, and then you see what's going on behind it in the terminal, and that's it. You just follow the bouncing ball. If it says you have foreign packages, go through and just let it delete it, then you can put it back. As long as you have access to it from somewhere else, or if you have it somewhere else, you're good to go, right? You don't need to worry about that. So that's very cool. There is a way, and I'm going to show you at the end of the video, I just realized this, that I can go get the new package and put that back in downloads for MP3 gain. We're going to try that at the end of the video. And if it works, great, and if it doesn't, well, it's one of those kind of deals. Okay, so that's the upgrade process. It's that easy, and there's nothing else to talk about. Do remember that if you're going to try this, back up everything. We'll do a Timeshift snapshot as well if you have that on the system. Matter of fact, let's jump back over here and talk a little bit about that, because they have done some major stuff with Timeshift. Timeshift now is being maintained by Linux Mint, which I think is absolutely amazing, and hopefully they will send that up to the Ubuntu repositories too, because I'm running this on other machines. For those of you who do not know what Linux Mint is, not Linux Mint, Timeshift, hello. It is a little program that allows you to take snapshots of your Linux system and keep a backup online at all times. So if you have a bad driver problem, if you have an update that breaks, if you yourself screw up your system in some way or another, this will give you a way to do it. If you have the bootable Linux Mint media, like your USB stick, you can take that and put it in the machine, and it will look for Timeshift. There's on the hard drive the other image. That's if you bork this up to where you can't boot at all, it will allow you to fix that. So it's a very nice tool. I use it on Ubuntu. I use it on everything, all Linux systems, and I've been using it since years now. And it's very useful, and you can roll back to it. I do not recommend this as a full-fledged backup tool of all your data, okay? But it's great for backing up your system. And so when this runs again, if I go to my settings here, let's see, make sure that's in there. And we say OK. And we're just going through the, let me see here what we got going on. Go to settings. Is that the, okay, here we go. Yeah, it's got all my settings. So I do 2 weeklies and 3 dailies, and I think that's a pretty wise way to go. I don't think there's any point in keeping a monthly unless you absolutely have to. I try and keep it to 5 iterations. When this does do a snapshot, it is not copying everything into 5 different directories and keeping 5 copies of everything. It's doing a link farm type of backup. So it does one good backup, and then it links the changes, and that's how it does it. And it does it through rsync. It's very reliable, and it works very, very well. It does take up a little bit of space, though. So in here, you'll see that I am not letting it back up the home directory for the root user or myself, and I'm the only account on this computer. There's better software for that. If you're going to do backups, I recommend that you go to my webpage and look at mine, which is called BU, which is backup USB or backup or however you want to do it. I'll put a link in the description in the video to my webpage, and you can go check that out if you want to. So anyway, make sure that you have a snapshot done. Make sure that you have everything backed up before you attempt this procedure. That now, too, Timeshift is going to warn you if you're running out of space, which is pretty awesome. So that's all there is to it. If you want to get it fresh, just go to here, to the Linux Mint website, linuxmint.com, and you can download. And then over here we have installation instructions, Linux Mint installation guide. You can download this and read it at your leisure. If you're just starting out and you've never done this before, I really, really recommend that you do that so you know what you're getting into. So that's there, and this is the announcement for Linux Mint 21. This is on the Linux Mint blog, which is, you can get to that from the Linux Mint website. And here's like what's new. Let's take a very quick look at that very quickly. That was redundant. Very quick look at this very quickly. This message comes to you from WTAR's Department of Redundancy Department, where circular objects are round. That's an old joke I pulled on a disc jockey years ago when I first started out in radio. We had a card in the studio that had a message that we were going to read on the air. It was like a little index card. And whoever wrote it, and this is with a manual typewriter, by the way, this is a long time ago, they wrote, "Interested people who are interested in." And I thought it was funny, so I put a little arrow to it that said, down at the bottom in hand wrote, "This message comes to you courtesy of WTAR's Department of Redundancy Department." And old Jim Lawrence actually read it on the air. That's a true story. I heard it too. We have a new Bluetooth manager called Blue Man. That doesn't really apply to this machine. What is this? Is that it? I guess we have an upgrade here. We've got an upgrade to Notes with multicolors in it. That's pretty groovy. I know there's a major upgrade to Muffin now, which is the window manager that we're running. We've got the latest Cinnamon desktop. You guys get the picture. You can come find this and take a look at it for yourself if you want to. I plan to discover it as I go through things and look at stuff. So yeah, is that all? Yep, that's all I had up there. LinuxMint.com is the place to go to get whatever you need. So let's see here. I will put links to all that stuff in the description of the video. You may click at your heart's content. Plus, I'll put a link to EasyLinux.com, and I have a note about that coming up at the end of the vid here. So we have a terminal running. Go ahead and get rid of system information. I just wanted to have something on the screen. And real quick here, let me minimize this and let you see the desktop in its full glory. And yes, this wallpaper is available on my desktop. You can go get it and save the image if you like. Wallpaper is available on my website, not desktop. The desktop wallpaper is available. I have several up there. People always ask, where can I get that? That's where you can get it. Okay, so let me get out of here. We're going to try something in this video real quick, boys and girls, before we wind things down. I'm going to try a trick and see if this works. It might not work. But we want to keep a local copy of MP3 gain, just in case they take it away from us again, right? Right. So let's go ahead and make this a little bigger so it makes it easy for everyone to see. So what I want to do is I want to copy VAR, and we're going to do the cache. I'm typing half the word and then using tab to autofill because I'm not that great of a typist, nor can I spell very well. We want to do archive. Oh, that's right, at. And then we'll do archive. And so what is installed on this machine, what is upgraded, should have the latest package in here. So we're going to copy that, and we're going to do MP3. Let's see if it's there. Yes, this is the latest version. So now we're going to send this, we're going to copy this to downloads, and we're going to put that in packages, right? And just turn it loose. We don't get any confirmation. Linux assumes you know what you're doing, so it didn't tell us anything. But we can figure this out real easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to ls downloads packages, and look, we have two MP3 gain versions there, right? So let's go ahead and jump into that directory. We'll go to downloads. You see we have packages and ISO images there. That's awesome. So I'm going to, once again, CD. We're going to go into packages. All right, now we're in that directory. List it again. Yes, we're there. And we want to remove the old MP3 gain. So I'm just going to do MP3 like so. And now it's going to ask me which one. So we have 5 there. And we have let's see, which one is it? Yeah, so we're just going to get rid of 5. Just add that, tab again, fills it out for us, get rid of it. Now, take a little time and make sure you're doing the right thing, because this is powerful stuff if you're going to be doing it that way, okay? But now, if I list my little backup directory there where I'm keeping my packages, you see I got my tag tool, and I got my latest MP3 gain, Jammy Jellyfish version. Thank you, Ubuntu, for putting that back in. Thank you, Linux Mint, for doing such a wonderful job with this. And thank you for watching. And I know I didn't cover everything, but hey, this is unscripted and off the cuff, and I figured you guys would just like a quick look around. Put your experiences down in the comments. Tell me what how you're dealing with Linux Mint and the latest Ubuntu, and how it's working for you if you're an Ubuntu and Linux Mint user, which I am, certainly. And if you do the upgrade, tell me how it goes. That'd be very awesome. Links in the description. We'll talk again soon. Thanks for watching, boys and girls.